Hello, this is Gerry LePage, and I welcome you to another edition of Senior Soundings. Thanks for joining us, and we have a little bit of a Christmas theme going on in this episode, so I'm really glad that you joined us. And joining me as my guest today is a dear colleague that I've known for 100 years, Maxine Hutchins. You have been a presence among a number of different organizations and care agencies and the like through whom I've known you over all these years. Now, Maxine is involved with a program called Elves for Elders, and it is a Christmas giving program. So without further ado, Maxine, welcome to Senior Soundings, and maybe you can start by telling our audience a little bit about just exactly what is Elves for Elders.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So I started Elves for Elders 24 years ago. I was able to do that when I came into the marketing and networking environment, and I built a great support group of volunteers. So Elves for Elders is a program that I designed to get gifts for seniors across the state of Rhode Island that might not get a gift for the holidays otherwise. So last year, first year I did it out of my house. I did 300 seniors. Wow. Last year, we did 4,345 senior gifts.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing for me.
And this is growth over how long a period of time?
24 years.
24 years.
Well, this year will be 24, yes. And I expect to hit 5,000 this year.
Amazing.
So it really jumped during COVID, because what happened after COVID is a lot of the nursing homes were sold. They were originally privately owned, and they got sold to corporations, and so there wasn't someone taking care of the residents at the holiday time. So that's how I grew. So during COVID, I was at 1,000 seniors, and then, like I said, last year we grew to 4,000, and that's kind of how that happened.
So exactly what does this entail? How does Elves for Elders work?
Okay. So I gather the list from the communities. It's nursing homes, subsidized assisted livings, the low-income ones, adult daycare centers, some senior centers. So someone has to give me the referral of the name. So I get the first names, I get the gift request and the size, and I put those on stars. And then the stars get placed around the state on various tree locations.
Now you're talking about stars as in like a little cutout
Yeah, a little
paper?
cutout cardboard star.
Cardboard star.
And I used to cut all the stars, and then last year I did a little damage here. It was too many stars, so now I've had them a die cut mold made, and they were printed, and they're all 5,000 are ready to go.
Beautiful.
I still have to fill them out though. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So I keep a master list, and then what happens is I'll get a request, say Mary wants slippers size 8. John wants a robe size large. So someone goes to that tree location, picks the star, purchases the gift, and we got smart a few years ago and stopped wrapping, and we asked for a gift bag. So we asked that the gift bag be included with the gift. A lot of people like to make it look pretty and wrap it all up, and then by the time I get it, I have to rebag it because the bag's ripped. Things have happened in travel. So the trees go up November 1st all across the state. My biggest tree is at Warwick Mall at the customer service desk. But I have businesses of all types. So if I have a business that's, let's say, a salon, hair salon, or a market, they're open to the public. They can have a tree or a garland if they don't have space for a tree, and then they just have clips that clip the stars, and their customers can take them and bring them back. I also have businesses that will take on, they'll call me and say, all right, I've got this many employees, I could probably handle 30, 50 stars. Can I get, and they'll take a certain facility. And they can get as involved as they want. So it's anything from they have it for their employees, the employees fill the requests, and then my elves collect the gifts, or that facility can become involved where they can go and actually deliver the gifts and make an event out of it and deliver to an actual place. So it's however much someone wants to invest time-wise. And I'm very lucky to have lots of elves. I used to do this around the state, like wherever I was working, I would do it out of my office, and it just kept growing and growing. And then I moved into a church basement and was doing it there for several years, and then we outgrew that. So 2 years ago, we moved into like a warehouse place where there's a business there, but they donate me the space at Christmas time. And we actually set it up like a factory so that we have all these long tables, and everyone is on either side, and we work on one facility at a time, and people just start assembling the gifts, and I check them off the master list to know that they've come in.
Kind of like an assembly line.
It is just like an assembly line in a factory. And I used to deliver to all the different places. I can't do that anymore. They come and pick them up.
Well, that seems to make more sense, especially since the program has grown, multiplied by 24, 25 times since the first time. So, yeah, definitely. So now you have trees or garlands at these various retail locations and other businesses. When do those trees and garlands actually begin appearing on the site?
The first year I did not start until Thanksgiving weekend, and it was too late. What I find is people are in their crazy shopping then, where they're feeling pressured to do their own. So by putting it up November 1st, people are more apt to go and do the donation type thing. And I start hauling gifts after Thanksgiving weekend. That's when I get busy crazy, and I'm the little elf that runs around in my little red smart car hauling gifts. Believe it or not, I can fit quite a bit in there.
Yeah. Well, I know about busy times of year and the like, but the fact that your trees and garlands and that public awareness of the program will be expressed at the beginning of November, which is pretty much going to be right after we conclude airing this episode, which will be on air all the way through the month of November. I'm sorry, October. The trees come down on December 10th because then I need time to gather them all, and then we have a big wrap event. We still call it a wrap event. It's more an assembly event, but wrap sounds better, on December 13th. So people can get involved. They can volunteer for that event if they want. We can always use extra hands, and it's all day, and people usually just drop in for a couple of hours. Some people stay all day. However much they want. And Maxine, do you have like one central location where you bring all of this together when it's time to make the deliveries? So, and where is that?
That is American Safety and Training. It's on Niantic Avenue in Providence, right near the food bank.
Okay.
So it's easy to find. So it's the old Calibri building, so it's like a big warehouse. And they have the space. And there's no stairs for me hauling all those gifts, which became very big. When I was in the church basement, I had to haul everything downstairs. It was a little taxing. So this is much easier and smoother. It runs much smoother. Yes.
Good. So tell me a little bit more. I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. I'm sure that over all this time you've become aware of situations, some kind of a story. That's some like a heartwarming thing that you didn't expect. So so if you have a story like that, our viewers would love to hear.
I do. So I used to be a social worker. I worked in mental health, and then I left that to go work in senior housing. And I worked in a lot of the inner city senior housings because I had the mental health background, and they also had elderly and young disabled people living within the community. So the first year that I worked in senior housing, I had 2 buildings. I had one in Cranston and one in Providence. And I started around this time, and then coming close to Christmas, I wanted to do something for my seniors, but obviously I couldn't give them gifts 200 people. So I crafted, and I said, well, I'm going to make them Christmas cards. A handmade Christmas card is like a gift,
Sure.
shows that I care. And my friends thought I was absolutely crazy. They're like, just buy a box of cards. They're going to throw them out after Christmas. And I'm like, yeah, but this is more like a gift. I enjoy doing it. I'm going to do it. So I did. And after Christmas, one of my ladies in my Cranston building, she came up to me and she said, thank you so much for the card. It was the only one I got.
Oh.
So she left in my office, and I thought about that. She was 82. She had never been married. She had no children. And her friends were gone. There was no one to think of her. And I sat in my office and I thought, oh my goodness, she didn't get a Christmas gift. What must that feel like to age and be alone? She could go out and buy herself a new sweater or a pair of shoes or a robe, whatever she needed. She wasn't destitute. But it was more about there was no one to think of her. So that put the idea in my head, and I really couldn't do it then. But once I started in healthcare marketing in 2000, then I developed the network and the people that turned out to be my elves and would volunteer and would help and would do this. And that's how I've been able to grow it over the years. And so it's geared towards people that either have a financial issue, they may have family, but the family never visits them at the nursing home. They have no connection. Or so they're alone. So those are the two criteria. And I trust the communities that are giving me the lists to get me the appropriate people. Some places I do every single resident at that facility, you know, depending on where it is and what the situation is. And then some give me 10, 20, that type of thing.
Right.
So, and it's same thing with the senior centers. It's whatever. I don't take anyone individually off the street. It has to be a referral. One, there also has to be a delivery person. So there has to be someone who's willing to take that responsibility on. So for example, the first year I did it, I got the police cadet programs involved. So I would, you know, I worked with Cranston and Warwick and Providence, East Providence, and it was great. But here's what they did. They took the gifts that I had to be delivered to the individual homes, and they rode around with the kids that day. And then the people that weren't home, now I had all those gifts that I had to keep trying to run around to deliver.
Oh, boy.
I just can't do it. So I like doing the adult daycare centers and the senior centers because then I'm reaching people who live alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, at these centers, even if someone doesn't happen to be there on that day,
But
you
that
can leave the
person
gift.
will collect it and
Sure.
deliver it for them. So I'm going to be working this year, a new one with Burrillville. So I'm excited about that. Burrillville has 1,500 seniors, which is a lot. I will hope not to get that many, but I expect I'll get a good number from Burrillville. And I have a tree location for that already, so it's exciting.
Sure, and
Yeah.
of course, the fact that you're establishing a new territory, so to
Yes.
speak, will probably and hopefully bring in more volunteers
Yes,
and more
yes.
elves to help out
Yes,
with this
because
project.
I can't do it without my elves.
Right.
You know, they call me headmaster elf, but still, I need all the workers that do it.
So this year now, you said you're anticipating having
5,000.
about 5,000 gifts.
Easily. Yeah.
And how many elves do you have to process all of these gifts?
Oh, goodness. I have one company in Providence that they closed down their factory that day, and they come and they stay the
Wow.
whole day. And the owner read about us in an article that was in North Smithfield, and she happened to get that article, and she contacted me, and now they've been coming every year. So they're there, and I have I run a networking group called Seniors Rule that's all women who provide services to seniors. That group comes and they volunteer. And there's more that goes into it than just that one day.
Sure.
Because as the gifts come in, I have huge boxes about as big as this table, and each facility has 1, 2, 3 boxes.
Oh, my.
And I have to sort them all. because the day of the wrap, they need to all be in their box. So we work on one facility at a time, and now the gifts go to the right place. Because I used to be driving around, oh, I've got 3 gifts that don't belong to me. I'd have to go pick them up and now get them where they belong. So it was a lot. I've fine-tuned it very well over the years.
It is a process,
It
and
is a
it can
process.
take many years, I
It's a
know,
process. It's
to
like-
get it the way you want it
It's
to
like
be.
running a little company. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
So this past year, we made it a 501c3.
Ah.
So now I can actually, because the operating costs have gotten to be more, so I've had to do a little bit of fundraising to help pay for that, like the printing of the stars, all of that.
Right.
So we have fundraisers. I do 3 fundraisers a year. They're quarter auctions. If you've never been to a quarter auction, it's a lot of fun. So there's a assisted living in Warwick that hosts it for me. Our next one is coming up October 24th. It's a dinner. So for $30, you get dinner, you get beverages, like wine, and you bring a couple rolls of quarters and you play and you win prizes. And it's just a lot of fun. So we also do raffle baskets for that people donate to me. And in May, we had one. We had 35 people attend. I think we raised like $1,500. We had one in July, Christmas in July theme, and we had 70 people attend, and we raised $4,000. So that helped pay for all those stars and everything else I needed to do. Yeah. So, yeah.
And, you mentioned the location where you do all of this assembly work in Providence.
Yeah.
Which is a nice kind of central location
It is.
within the state.
It's like
so
Cranston-Providence line.
Right.
Yes.
So if any of you out there are thinking of becoming an elf, as far as participating in that final assembly process, it's not going to be a long trip for you, nor an immense commitment of time to go to Providence to help out. So.
I can give my number. So you would contact me, Maxine, at 401-286-3821, or my email is maxiemae54@outlook.com.
Great.
So just more information. If you want to volunteer and get details,
Just
give me a call.
get in
You want to
touch.
have a tree? I have salons. I have insurance companies. I have some hospitals that have trees. I have an automotive place that has a tree. It can be any type of business, really.
Yeah, good to know. And are there any particular parts of the state where you would like to have a larger presence?
Yes, I would. You knew the right question. So I'm looking, like I said, to expand in the Burrillville area this year. I'd like to also expand to this area.
In Newport County?
Yes, in Newport County. And I'm also looking, I've picked up some elders in the South County area, and I'm going to be looking for some space for trees in that area as well. So yes, those are my areas I'm expanding. So like either end of the state, really,
Okay. And how do you do outreach? Well, in addition, obviously, to something like Senior Soundings, but do you make some kind of concerted outreach to go, say, to a place like Clements Market in Portsmouth?
Yes.
Or
I'm going to
Dave's
talk about
Market in
Clements
Warren?
Market. How did you know? So
Yeah.
years ago, I did have a tree at Clements Market, and then there was some issue with family, I think, at one time, and then I didn't. There's a new Clements Market in Bristol.
Yes.
And I just picked up 2 nursing homes in Bristol that are new this year. And I would really like to have a tree at that Clements Market in particular.
Right.
Yeah. Although I would take one in Portsmouth as well.
Oh, of course.
And I bring all the stars around, so I'm the one that does I do the outreach, basically. So
the business owners and the like who might want to participate in this program do have direct contact with you.
Yes, they do.
Which is good.
I have 2 elves in the upper part of northern Rhode Island. One girl handles about 1,300.
Oh my goodness.
Another girl handles about 1,000. So then that leaves me with the rest in Providence to process. So that's not bad. Having those helpers, it's just something that, I've brought people on board over the years, and again, it's all volunteer work. No one is paid. I'm not paid. To me, it's just a passion. This is what makes my holiday. As it's grown, I used to see every single gift. So I always saw it. Now I'm just checking off. I don't get to have that much fun anymore that way.
Oh.
But last year I had, if gifts come in late, like people don't get gifts, say a nursing home has 10 that weren't filled, then I write a check and I let that place go shopping and get the gifts for them. Last year someone returned 3 gifts late, and I'd already written the checks and done what I needed to do. So I'm like, what am I going to do with these 3 gifts? So I looked at them. I saw the size. They were sweatpants and flannel shirts. I put them all in one Christmas bag. And I wrote, it was like the week of Christmas, and I rode around with it in my car, and I said, the first homeless person I come to that looks about that size, I'm just going to give it to them. I couldn't find anyone.
Wow.
It's like they all took vacation. So I was coming down Post Road into Apponaug, and there's a Walgreens with a bus stop, and I saw this gentleman, and he had a sign, help a vet, and he was older, and I pulled over, and he looked about the right size, and of course I opened my window, and he's coming over thinking he's going to get a donation, and I lift up the Christmas bag, and he was like, for me? And I was like, yes, it's for you. And he's like, really? I'm like, yes. And then, see, now I'm going to cry. And that brought it back to why I do it.
Yeah.
And why it's so important. Everyone does things for children, and that's great. And I participate in some of those myself personally.
Of course.
But people forget about the seniors, and they don't. Again, it goes back to that woman who was alone. And what does that feel like?
Right. And no one forgot her on purpose.
Well, no
It's
one
just
forgot
that
her on purpose.
Her life circumstances were such that she didn't have
No one thought of her.
offspring. She may not have had, or even if she did have siblings, they had passed
Yeah.
away. The
Yeah,
friends had passed
exactly.
away.
Her friends
so
had
no
passed
one
away.
intentionally forgot her. It's just that they all kind of faded away as life went on.
And I thank her for telling me that story, because
Sure.
that story is what drove me to do this. And, it's important. I have one person that participates every year, and I don't always get to meet those people that buy the gifts. I used to set up a little thing at the mall, and I used to be able to display, and sometimes people would say, oh, I do it, I take stars every year, I do it. But I used to have this one gentleman who used to drop off like brand new stuff that was like extra, not designated for a specific person, but like really nice lotions, really nice gifts. And one year I got a call from this woman, and she says, oh, my brother's the one that drops off the stuff to you. And she says, there's 9 siblings, and instead of doing Christmas gifts, they go and they pick 9 stars and they do it for the seniors instead. And she told me, she said, my parents, we lived in an elderly neighborhood, and they used to have us do things for the elderly neighbors. And so this is our way of continuing that. And turned out I knew her. I'm driving on the highway. We both start crying. She was a case manager at one of the hospitals, and I actually knew her and didn't know that she was doing the program for me.
Yeah.
So.
But that story that you relate really goes back to the impression, the strong sense that I have that all of the work that's entailed and the phone calls and running around, driving around and the like to implement this program is far outweighed by the fulfillment, that sense of peace and accomplishment that you get, and that it warms your heart to do this kind of thing.
This is my Christmas. This is my holiday. This is what does it for me. You know, I didn't know how big an impact it was going to have on me personally as well when I started it. You know, I have a very small house in Cranston where I live, and the first year that I was doing it, 300 gifts doesn't sound like a lot, but I was also hosting Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I had totes everywhere with all the gifts, and it got to the point at the end that I was wrapping on my lap because I couldn't even make room on the table to do it. So, yeah.
So it's grown that much
it's
overall
grown that
this
much,
time.
and it's just continues to have that impact. And starting the 501c3 also makes me feel that once I can no longer do it, that this will continue.
Yes.
And that's what I really want. I only do the state of Rhode Island. I have to contain myself to that because that's all I can handle. But I don't care if someone does it in another state.
It wouldn't surprise me at some point along the line if you start getting contacts from people in other states
I don't mind talking to people and telling them how I do it.
As you know, professionals in our field often attend conferences or conventions and the like, and you get to meet people from other states and the like. I attended a conference earlier in Michigan this year. Where I learned some fabulous things that other states are doing that I think could be implemented here in Rhode Island.
That's nice.
But nobody mentioned Elves for Elders, so that might be something that in future...
I would love to see that. I would love to see people taking it on, as long as no one else tries in Rhode Island, because then I will tangle.
Well, I was going to ask.
To add on.
We only have a brief amount of time left, but I was going to ask. I'm aware, definitely, of there are other programs. You know, East Bay Community Action, for instance, has their Adopt a Family program.
Right.
And Child and Family has a big program, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the other agencies do. Do you ever come into contact with those other programs to either coordinate
I do East
or?
Bay Cap.
Okay.
They're on my list.
Great.
I get the first year I did this program, East Bay Cap was very involved in it. So I do still do East Bay Cap. Not all of the CAP agencies, but they can contact me.
Sure,
I'm more than happy.
And I think that's the point. You know, we have both learned how important networking is. Circulating around, meeting colleagues who, again, we belong to a group called CARE, Collaboration, Advocacy, and Resources for Elders. And this is how we met. There are people in that organization who represent just about any profession you can think of, and their specialization is that they work with seniors. So that's the basis for how we all came together, and that's how Elves for Elders started. So
that's how it works.
Anyway, Maxine, I want to thank you for joining me for this. And viewers, I hope you got a lot out of this. Please contact Maxine and see what you can do to get involved with Elves for Elders. And Merry Christmas all.
Yes.
This is Gerry LePage signing off for this edition of Senior Soundings. Thank you.